Today, we're really unpacking a concept that has just exploded. You see it everywhere, social media, self-help books, maybe even, argued over at dinner. It's Mel Robbins' The Let Them Theory. And I think if you've ever, agonized over sending a text or wondered why someone didn't invite you somewhere or just felt that need to change someone's mind, then you know that control freak feeling she talks about. It feels pretty universal, doesn't it?
It really, really does. And for this deep dive, we've pulled together quite a stack of sources. We've got articles from places like the Chalkboard magazine, Very Well Mind, some really interesting, candid discussions on Reddit, and of course, Mel Robbins herself explaining it.
Right.
So our goal today is basically to cut through all that buzz. We want to look at the core idea, let them, how it's supposed to work, what benefits it might offer for your own peace of mind. We'll touch on where it comes from, some of those older philosophies, but also, really importantly, look at the challenges and the criticisms. Because it's not always simple.
Totally not.
We want to give you a clear picture so you can decide if this is, a useful tool for your own life.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's figure out what this let them theory actually means for your relationships, your headspace, and maybe just your daily energy levels. What's the absolute core of it?
At its heart, it sounds incredibly simple, but it's powerful. It's just let them. Yeah. Let people do what they're going to do. Let them think what they're going to think. And instead of getting caught up in that or trying to control it or taking it personally, you just shift your focus back onto yourself.
Okay.
And it's definitely gone viral. I mean, one of Mel Robbins' posts about it got something like 15 million views, 11,000 comments. It's huge.
Wow. That kind of engagement really says something about how many of us struggle with wanting control.
Yeah.
But like you said, the idea itself isn't entirely new, is it? It feels familiar.
No, not entirely new at all. And that's what's interesting. Mel Robbins gave it this really catchy modern name, but the core concept, you can find echoes of it way back.
Like where?
Well, think about Buddhism, Stoicism. Those philosophies deal a lot with acceptance and focusing on what's within your control. Even the Serenity Prayer, accept the things I cannot change.
Right. The courage to change the things I can.
Exactly. And radical acceptance. Dr. Terry Orbuch, she's a therapist, she put it really well. She said the theory basically argues we can't control other people's thoughts and actions. Full stop. So saying let them is just acknowledging that reality, accepting we can't force people to meet our expectations or think like us.
So it's less about giving up and more about redirecting your energy. What does the science say about why we even try to control others in the first place?
Well, the science is pretty clear. Our brains literally cannot control another person's thoughts or actions. It's just not possible.
Right. It seems obvious when you say it like that.
It does, but we still try. And the thing is, attempting to manage other people, trying to make them do or feel something, it usually just creates resistance. Resentment, even.
Yeah, it backfires.
Totally backfires. You push them away instead of bringing them closer to what you might want. Which leads us neatly into the two key parts of this theory. Let them and let me.
Okay, the two pillars. So let them is about releasing control. How does that look day to day? Can you give some examples?
Sure. So that first part, let them, it's about consciously deciding to release your grip on what someone else thinks, says, does, believes, feels, all of it.
Okay.
Think about those everyday things that wind us up. Someone doesn't text back quickly. Okay, deep breath. Let them.
Right.
A friend keeps flaking on plans or stops including you. Instead of agonizing, you try to say, let them. A date ghosts you. Ugh, it stings, but let them. Mel Robbins shared this great unsage from Dr. Amy Johnson. Imagine you're in a tiny boat paddling like mad upstream against this really strong current. You're fighting it, trying to control where you go.
Yeah, exhausting.
Totally. The let them moment is when you just drop the oars. You stop fighting the current and let the boat float naturally downstream. It's about surrender, but in a peaceful way, finding relief in letting go.
I like that boat analogy. It really helps visualize it. So it's not just about stopping the paddling, but then what do you do once you drop the oars? That brings us to let me.
Exactly. That release creates the space for the second part, which is just as crucial.
Yeah.
Let me.
Okay.
Once you've managed to say let them and create that mental space, you then intentionally fill it by focusing on let me. This is how you remind yourself what is actually in your control.
Like what?
Like what you think about the situation, what you choose to do or maybe not do in response, how you manage your own feelings about it.
So it's like taking your power back, almost self-preservation.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Let me is fundamentally an act of self-love,
Yes.
self-protection. You're acknowledging that your time, your energy, your peace, they're valuable. They're worth guarding.
Yeah. Psychologically, our minds don't like empty spaces, right? So after you clear out the stress of trying to control others with let them, you actively, purposefully fill that space by focusing on yourself with let me. It's this dual action that helps find balance, set healthier boundaries, and honestly, build relationships that feel more authentic, less forced.
Okay, so we get what it is and how the two parts work together. What's the payoff then? What are the tangible benefits the let them theory actually promises? If you boil it down, what's maybe the most surprising upside?
That's a great question. If you look at all the lessons people take from this, I think the biggest insight is about shifting where your power comes from. It's not from controlling the outside world. It's from mastering your internal world, your responses.
Okay.
And maybe the most surprising benefit, the one people don't always expect, is that letting go doesn't just reduce your stress.
Sure.
It can actually make your relationship stronger because you're allowing people to be who they genuinely are. You're connecting with the real person, not the version you're trying to mold them into. That fosters real connection, not just, compliance.
That's really powerful. So the idea is the right people will connect with the real you
Right.
without you having to force it. And it sounds like it reinforces that old saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. Don't try to fix it.
Precisely. And psychologically, the benefits stack up. You become more emotionally aware because you're tuning into your feelings, your needs. That naturally reduces frustration, increases happiness.
Okay.
It also cuts down on stress, worry, that constant mental churn. You become more adaptable, more resilient when things don't go according to your plan, which, let's face it, happens all the time. And in relationships. More trust, more acceptance, more authenticity, because you're appreciating people for who they are now, not some future potential version you've invented.
Yeah.
Mel Robbins also points out that often our need to control comes from somewhere deeper, maybe anxiety, maybe a sort of misguided attempt at showing love, or even just distracting ourselves from our own stuff. So let them helps turn that energy back inward towards our own growth.
It's one thing to talk about it, but those real-world examples really make it click. Mel Robbins tells a great story about her son's prom, doesn't she? Very relatable.
She does. It was pouring rain, apparently, and her son, Oakley, just had this super casual plan to go eat tacos in tuxedos and prom dresses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she felt that instant urge, what she calls overfunctioning anxiety, to jump in, fix it, make it better, that parental instinct or just human instinct sometimes.
Totally.
But her daughter just said, let them. And it was like a switch flipped. She realized how much energy she was about to waste trying to control something that honestly didn't really matter in the long run.
So it's about figuring out what's actually your problem to solve versus what you can just release.
Exactly. And you see it everywhere. Mel talks about, say, being seated away from your friends at a wedding. Instead of stewing about it, feeling slighted, let them handle their seating chart. Saves you so much self-inflicted pain.
Right.
Another big one, and this can be tough, is letting people fail. Sometimes schools won't bring kids their forgotten lunches because the sting of forgetting is the lesson.
Oof. Harsh, but maybe necessary.
Maybe. Or in business, maybe you have to let a family member struggle financially for a bit so they learn to stand on their own feet. If you always rescue someone,
You rob them of the chance to learn.
you do. You rob them of developing their own competence. And it happens in romance too, right? Falling for someone's potential instead of who they actually are, that leads to so much frustration.
Yeah, been there.
Mel even points out jealousy can be a form of trying to control someone's affection, which, again, almost always backfires. It pushes love away.
It's not just personal stuff, though. We've seen this let them, let me dynamic play out in some really high-profile situations. The Tiger Sisters podcast brought up Taylor Swift, for instance.
Yes, that's a fantastic example. After she lost the rights to her master recordings, huge setback, obviously lots of anger and frustration there.
For sure.
But ultimately, her stance became, okay, let them have the old masters, pivot, let me re-record everything.
Which was genius.
Absolute genius. She took control of what she could control, her new work, her relationship with her fans, and look what happened. Huge success. Whole new, powerful era for her.
Incredible turnaround. And then there's Satya Nadella at Microsoft. He faced criticism early on, right?
A lot of it. When he took over, his whole empathy-first leadership style was seen by many as, too soft, especially compared to his predecessor. Analysts, even employees were skeptical. But Nadella, he just let them criticize. He stuck to his vision, his strategy, didn't get drawn into arguing or changing course based on the noise.
And the results?
Well, Microsoft went from roughly a $300 billion company to, over $3 trillion market cap? His quiet confidence, his focus on his plan while letting others doubt, it paid off massively. It shows that sometimes letting go of needing external validation is key to achieving something huge.
Okay, so it sounds incredibly powerful when it works. But let's be real, actually doing this is hard. It feels unnatural sometimes. There must be challenges, criticisms, situations where let them is maybe not the right move.
Absolutely. And this is maybe the most critical part of the conversation. Where does this theory break down, or where can it be misused?
Right.
It's really important to know the caveats. Mel Robbins herself is very clear on this. You do not apply let them when someone is acting dangerously drunk driving, for example.
Okay, obvious safety issues.
Obvious safety, or if someone is discriminating against you, or if they are repeatedly, deliberately crossing boundaries you've clearly set. In those cases, let them is not the answer. You need to step up, advocate for yourself, hold the line.
So it's definitely not about being passive in the face of harm or injustice.
Not at all. It's about discernment. But there are other valid criticisms, too. The Tiger Sisters podcast raised a really important one about privilege.
Ah, yes. How so?
Well, think about it. It's a lot easier to say let them if you're already in a position of power, if you have money, influence, job security.
Sure.
But what if you're, say, an intern who desperately needs that job offer? Or you're the only woman in a boardroom facing constant microaggressions. Just letting them might not feel safe or practical or even responsible in that context. It could actually disadvantage you further.
That's a really crucial point. Context is everything.
Yeah.
What about the idea that it could just become conflict avoidance, like using let them as an excuse not to have difficult conversations?
That is a definite risk. If you just mentally say let them every time a friend does something hurtful or a coworker drops the ball and you never actually address it.
Nothing changes.
Exactly. You create what some call an accountability vacuum. Issues fester, people don't get feedback, they might need to grow or change their behavior, and the relationship might actually suffer in the long run because stuff isn't getting resolved.
So you have to be careful it doesn't become just avoidance. What about the flip side? Too much focus on let me. Could that make you isolated, like a lone wolf?
That's another valid point. If you take the let me part too literally, focusing only on yourself, you might close yourself off from collaboration, from asking for help, from building things with others. It's a balance. But even in tricky emotional moments, the core idea can still be useful. Mel shared another personal story about her daughter Kendall being frustrated about not having much time for something.
Okay.
Kendall apparently said something like, if we only do it for 15 minutes, I'm going to have a fing attitude.
Whoa. Okay, direct.
Very direct. And Mel's instinct might have been to argue or fix the feeling or get defensive, but instead she just let her have the frustration, didn't try to solve it for her, recognized that Kendall's feelings were Kendall's to manage.
Wow. That requires serious self-control to just allow someone else's negative emotion without absorbing it or feeling responsible for it. That's huge.
It really is. It's a masterclass in emotional boundaries.
So, okay, for people listening who are thinking, this sounds good, maybe even necessary, but how do I actually start doing it? What are some concrete, practical steps?
Great question. One really practical thing you can try is boosting your self-awareness around control. Maybe keep a journal or just a note on your phone for, say, 21 days. And just make a tally every time you catch yourself worrying about what someone else thinks or trying to subtly or not so subtly influence their actions or feelings.
And notice it.
Just notice it. When you catch it, mentally say stop, then let them. And maybe jot down what you were feeling in that moment and how shifting your thought felt. The goal isn't to be perfect overnight. It's just to build the habit of observation. Observing the urge, not automatically acting on it.
That sounds doable.
Yeah.
Training that observation muscle.
Yeah.
Are there other tricks for dealing with that immediate urge to jump in or react?
Yeah, definitely. The Tiger Sisters podcast suggested something they call the icebox or the parking lot.
Okay, intrigued.
Basically, you create a specific note or folder, maybe on your phone, maybe physical, where you mentally park any urge to react immediately to drama, an annoying email, a perceived slight. Just write it down, put it in the parking lot, and step away.
So you don't react in the heat of the moment.
Exactly. It buys you time, buys you emotional breathing room, lets the initial spike of emotion cool down. and it strengthens that let them muscle because you're practicing non-reaction. And apparently, looking back later at this graveyard, as you called it, of things that felt huge in the moment can be really revealing. You see how many things just fizzled out or weren't worth the energy you almost spent. It kind of retrains your brain over time not to be so instantly reactive.
That's actually brilliant. I like the parking lot idea.
Yeah.
And it's not just about stopping reactions, right? It's also proactive. What questions should we ask ourselves?
Right. It's proactive too. Mel Robbins suggests asking yourself 3 key questions when you feel that controlling urge flare up.
Yeah.
First, what am I actually afraid of here? Get to the root of the anxiety.
Okay.
Second, whose business am I in right now, mine or theirs? Really check those boundaries.
Good one.
And third, maybe most importantly, what feels more like peace? Always try to move towards the choice that feels more peaceful for you. Let that be your guide.
This whole deep dive really brings home a powerful truth, doesn't it? So much of our daily stress, our unhappiness, it comes from fighting things we just can't control. People, situations. By embracing let them, you're essentially drawing a line, protecting your space. And then by focusing on let me, you take back your time, your energy, and hopefully your peace of mind.
Exactly. And just to be super clear again, this isn't about becoming apathetic or ignoring things that are genuinely wrong or harmful.
Right. Not about injustice.
Not at all. It's about being smart about where you invest your energy. It's about figuring out where your real power lies, which is always in your own responses, your choices, your actions. It's about mastering yourself, regulating your own emotions, and taking charge of the things you can actually influence.
So the ultimate freedom isn't about magically stopping caring what others think.
No, probably not realistic for most of us.
Right. But maybe it's more about building such solid self-trust, such a strong sense of your own worth, that other people's opinions, good or bad, just don't have the power to derail you or define you anymore.
That's it perfectly. Their opinions become data, maybe, but not your definition.
So as you're listening and reflecting on all this, maybe ask yourself, what's one area, just one thing in your life right now, where you're ready to truly let them, so you can fully step into your own let me era?